Welcome to Master the Game. I am Juice, and this is day 29 of RPG A Day 2021. Today's prompt is system, so let's get started. If this is your first time here, smash that subscribe button and give us a like. Today we're going to be talking about the word system. So the thing that pops to mind right away is, what is my favorite system? What systems do I like? What kind of systems do I like? What are my least favorite systems? Things like that. So I'm going to quickly try to answer those. My absolute favorite system right now is D&D 5e. It's the system I enjoy running and DMing the most. However, I like a ton of systems out there. I really like Pathfinder 2nd Edition. While I agree it's not for everyone, I can say the same thing about D&D 5e. It's not for everyone. You know, it caters to a different audience. Now, when it comes to why, for example, I think D&D 5e is my favorite, it's because I run games more than I play games. And so when it comes to running a game, I like 5e because I understand how it works. It's very easy for me to just sit down and run a game. I could wing a game and still, I think, run a pretty good session. The reason I really like Pathfinder 2nd Edition, for example, is I think there's a lot of cool things that you can play as a player. Things that I wouldn't conceive in other game systems. My imagination goes wild with character creation when it comes to Pathfinder 2nd Edition. And in general, I just think that a lot of the stuff they've incorporated into Pathfinder 2nd Edition is really cool and done really well. But when it comes to running Pathfinder 2nd Edition, there's a lot more to keep track of. As a DM, it's a little distracting for me. Or I should say GM, it's a little more distracting for me. I think as I play the game more and I learn it even more, the ins and outs, and I get used to how everything flows and works together, it could be a game that I really enjoy running. Right now, I like running it. But again, it's not the easiest system for me to run, and sometimes the different things I have to keep track of do take me out of that experience a little bit. If you're somebody who can handle, juggling multiple things, keeping track of multiple actions for, each monster you have on the board and things like that, and the way you typically run things works with that, then that's a good game for you. But there's a variety of other games I really like. I really like the Age system by Green Ronin Publishing. That's obviously one of my favorites. I like Dragon Age. I like Fantasy Age. I have not dabbled with Modern Age yet. I like Blue Rose. Not Blue Age, Blue Rose. Again, really cool system that I thoroughly enjoy. And so again, the Age system is a game I highly recommend for people who like simpler systems. It's just 3d6. One of your d6s is a different color. If you roll any doubles and you succeeded on your roll, you apply stunt points based on the one die that's different color. You refer to a couple tables, and you can spend those stunt points to do as many actions in that table that you can afford to spend those stunt points for. Again, it's really cool, and it adds to the narrative flow of the game, and I think it's a neat little mechanic. Other games that I'm interested in, different systems I'm interested in, I recently got Star Trek Adventures. I recently got the new Fallout 2D20 game, and I'm really excited to dive into those. I don't know if I like them or love them yet, but I'm interested in trying those. Games that I've played before and that I enjoy that maybe others don't, I really like Palladium books. There's a lot of things in there that I don't like, and there's definitely ways I would reimagine the system if I had the opportunity, but for what it is, I think it's fine. I enjoy it. I like the active defense system. I do kind of hate that you use a D20 for combat stuff, but you use a percentile for skill-based stuff. It's basically melding two systems there. But again, I enjoy the system. That's the game that got me into tabletop RPGs in the first place, and that was Heroes Unlimited. I really, really enjoy Call of Cthulhu. Just in general, the percentile-based system as a whole, whether it's Zweihander, which I've enjoyed playing, or Warhammer, I think is a really elegant, simple game to play. People generally understand percentiles and how they work, especially if you just say roll under it. And, with Call of Cthulhu having the different tiers of success under it, hard success and extreme success, Again, I think that makes a lot of sense, and it's easy to pick up and play within a couple minutes. Another game I really enjoy that does have a barrier of entry that I think a lot of people find hard to overcome. But once they overcome it, they wish they switched sooner. And that's Fantasy Flight Games, the Genesis system. I've played Star Wars with it, never played their other stuff, but Star Wars with that system is amazing. Absolutely love it. My friend Paul, he's a member of my Discord, came over, ran it for me, my wife, and another player. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. I bought the starter sets. I've got one of the core books. And I definitely have interest in buying more of those books and eventually playing a lot more of that game system. It's something that I might run someday, but really I enjoy it as a player too. Again, I think it's a really cool game. Again, there's a variety of games out there that I like. I'm not trying to slander any games. A game that just doesn't work for me, that's on the far end for me, that I just am not into, is Savage Worlds. To me, there's just too many things to it. You use a deck of cards for initiative. Yes, it's cool if you get a joker, you get a bonus to all your rolls and stuff. That's cool. You also get bennies that you can spend for a variety of things, whether it's to soak damage, to do a re-roll, things like that. I think you can also do some other things. It's been a while since I played. And I again, by itself, totally fine. You also have other cards that I believe are optional that can be given out that give you extra bonuses that you can, use this card at whatever point during the game. And again, I think that's okay and fine as well. Then you have 2 rolls to keep track of. You have a wild die and then your normal roll. And you roll both side by side. And if you get any maxes on any of the dice, they explode to be bigger. Well, then at the end, you compare the two, and whichever one's the highest, that's the one you take. A little bit difficult if both dice are exploding, because then you're trying to keep track of multiple numbers. In my opinion, this aspect of the game slows it down a little bit. And the way the game is pitched to me is that it's supposed to be quick, fast, action-oriented, action-paced. And to me, every time I played it, I just feel like certain things slow it down for me. And that's one of them. So I'm thinking about numbers. I'm not thinking about role play. That bothers me a little. Again, it's fine by itself, but that's probably the biggest thing right there is the wild die and then that. I love the exploding dice. I personally love exploding dice. I also do sort of like how they do, you can put so many points into something that, say your attribute's a D6, because again, it goes D4, D6, D8, D10, D12, and I think that's it. And so that's how your attributes are. That's also how your skills are. And you can raise them to the next die type. Now, if you don't have that relevant skill, then to raise it above your die type based on your attribute is going to cost 2 ranks rather than 1 just for that 1 rank. So, for example, say your vigor. I'm just going to pull one. Say your attribute is like strength. Okay. Say your strength is a D8. So you can move a skill that's related to that from a D4 to a D6 to a D8, 1 skill rank each. However, if you want to raise it to a D10, so say it's like a hand-to-hand fighting of some sort, and it's strength-based, you want to move from a D8 to a D10, that's going to take 2 skill ranks because your strength is only a D8. I like that you can go beyond it, but again, it penalizes you a little bit too. I do like edges and hindrances. Again, something from Savage Worlds I think is pretty dang cool. But Savage Worlds it has never connected with me. I've played it with game designers. I've played it with friends. I just have a hard time getting into the system. And what I mean by that is playing the game and not always thinking about what's going on with the mechanics behind the scenes. And so while cool things have happened in the games I've played, I feel like the mechanics and me having to think about it overshadows it a little bit. And it's not that it's a hard system. It's just got a lot of different things that in my mind don't work together. It's too many different things that just aren't natural together. You know, you're, again, using a deck of cards, you're using these tokens, you're using dice, you're using another set of cards. It's just multiple things that are kind of expected. Maybe the one deck is optional, like I said, so you don't need that. So you still have bennies, which are tokens. You still have, or poker chips. You still have the deck of cards for initiative. And then you have dice. And then you have 2 sets of dice to keep track of. So again, it's just a lot of different things. And I feel like they should get rid of the wild die, personally. I also think I would just use dice for initiative. And I would even think about making it its own skill, that costs 2 points to put a rank in it every time, because I wouldn't tie it to an attribute. So that means if someone has a really high initiative, they probably would have to give up some other skills to do that. So, you can't just be great at everything. And bennies are fine. Like I said, bennies don't bother me. So, yeah, that's my thought on that about Savage Worlds. It just doesn't work for me. And I think if I was coming into the hobby now, I probably wouldn't be that into Palladium books, to be honest. The system as it stands right now. I think a modified version of Palladium book system where you still have an active defense, because to me, the thing that I like and that to me is Palladium books is a couple things. One, it's the active defense system. It's both people rolling and trying to beat each other's roll to hit or defend. I think that is a huge aspect of it. And I think the other part of it that I think makes it what it is the MDC, SDC hit points. Those are the tiers of how you can be hit and you absorb damage and stuff. And I actually like how Savage Rifts handled MDC damage, SDC damage, and I think that was good. I don't believe they made a distinguishing... I think that was you either were MDC or SDC, or your armor gave you MDC, but your number was always just your hit points. So it's MDC hit points or SDC hit points. And that was just kind of how it worked. And I like that, things would have armor piercing, and that's how much it could bypass into the MDC. Or the MDC absorbed, I think was how it worked. But I really liked that. And I actually think a modified Palladium system, that if it used that aspect of Savage Rifts, it looked at how they balanced some of the classes and tried to apply some of them, I think that would go a long way. I don't expect a Palladium Books game to ever be balanced, even if someone reskins it, puts out a brand new edition, like fresh, clean, brand new edition. I don't expect it to be perfectly balanced. I still expect your Glitter Boy to wipe the floor with a Vagabond. But I do think certain situations should benefit the Vagabond. And it shouldn't just be the, oh yeah, well if you're in a sewer system, you're going to want to be the Vagabond because a Glitter Boy can't get down there. Because even the Glitter Boy pilot could go down there and he's probably still going to technically be better with weapons and stuff like that. Anyway. So again, I think coming up with ways to balance them out a little bit would be good. I think different types of armor, again, is still good. The thing you find in Rifts especially is that as books came out, the power armors got more and more powerful to one-up the previous ones. And I think that rather than doing that, I would like it if they just had something that made them unique. Not just they were more powerful. Something unique about it. Maybe it's faster. Maybe it's stronger. Maybe it's hardier. Maybe it's got... maybe it's none of those things, but it has a better weapon. Maybe it's a more accurate weapon. Maybe it has a targeting system that's unique to it. Maybe one is a little bit more powerful, but it runs the risk of overheating and it has some downsides to it. Things like that to kind of level it out a little, I think would be really cool. And I think with that, if I was coming into the hobby and they made a new edition of Palladium Books Rifts, that would be a way to do it. But I also don't like the amount of skills. So, again, love plating books. But there are things that I would love to see changed about it in a new edition. And hopefully one day I see that. I would love, love, love a brand new edition of plating books. Because I think it would go a long ways. So I've rambled long enough about systems. You kind of know where I stand on this. I've talked about systems in the past, and now I've done it again today. This was Master the Game. I am Juice. Game on.